Alright, welcome to another video, and before we get started, I'd like to take a quick minute to thank all the Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members whose names you see scrolling across the screen right now. They make this financially possible, and without you, I probably wouldn't be here making videos, so thank you. Alright, so today's video is just going to be a quick little flight with the T1 Ranger. No narration other than what I'm doing right now, the voiceover later. Just kind of explaining what's going on. I didn't actually intend to make a video out of it, but as you can see, we kind of had some thunderstorms in the area, and kind of thunder rumbling, and there was rain all around us, and actually was a little bit of light rain while I was flying. So I just kind of thought the scenery looked a little bit nice, the sky and everything, clouds. So I decided to go ahead and post it and just kind of explain what I've been doing with the Ranger. In the last video I posted with it, when I flew it, I pointed out that during the auto takeoff, it would often oscillate on the pitch and roll axis a little bit until it got an accurate estimation of the wind speed, because I don't have an airspeed sensor in the Ranger. And I mentioned that there's a parameter in ArduPilot to suppress the gains until the takeoff sequence is finished, and to avoid this very issue. And I expected that to be the problem. I probably forgot to turn it on. That's what I kind of alluded to in that video. But after that flight, I actually checked it, and it was all set up properly. So I reached out to one of the ArduPlane guys that often helps me out. He's an old friend of mine. Been knowing him for a while, and within the FPV community at least. But anyway, he explained to me that he actually looked through my logs, and he explained that my PID controller, the P and D gains in particular, were quite a bit too high. So I played around with the auto tune, and I was getting pretty much the same result. I redid it a couple of times, and I was getting right close to the original numbers. And he suggested that I just cut the gains in half and try it and see if the problem went away. And if it did, then we know that the gains are too high. That's what's causing it. And then I can just maybe kind of manually fine tune things from there. So that's what I did. And that's kind of what I'm flying right now is what I ended up with. I basically just took the gains that the auto tune was giving me for P and D, and I cut them a little bit. Well, I cut them in half, and it flew a little bit loose there. So I ended up bumping them back up a little bit higher than half of what the auto tune was giving me, and it flies pretty good right here. I'm pretty happy with it, and the takeoffs and everything are going smooth, a lot smoother than they were. And I noticed that when I throttle back and the airspeed drops a little bit, it doesn't get twitchy like it was before. It's just all around, it's a good improvement. Everything feels much better. And so that's what I've been doing. I just kind of playing around with that experimenting, and the videos were really not that interesting. They were just kind of short flights and changing numbers and another short flight and on, that kind of thing. But yeah, he explained that the reasoning for it is that the auto-tune system in ArduPilot is capable of auto-tuning anything from like featherweight 250-gram foamies all the way up to 200-pound quad planes. And so you're going to have some compromise at either end of that scale, and it's never going to be perfect. But I will say that in my opinion, everything I've ever auto-tuned before, all my bigger airplanes that I've flown with ArduPilot, all fly perfectly fine after an auto tune. And I had always known that the Ranger was a little bit overtuned, but it seemed to fly fine, and I just kind of shrugged it off and didn't really bother with it until I built the Baby AR Wing Pro. And in that video, in the review I posted about it, you can see the oscillation going on, especially in the pitch axis. And I kind of mentioned there that I had to manually lower those gains, and I actually kind of worked on that at the same time I was playing around with the Ranger in the background and not posting about it. But that's kind of what brought it to my attention, that it was more obvious on the Baby AR Wing Pro than it was with the T1 Ranger. But coincidentally, those are the two smallest airplanes I've ever flown with ArduPlane. So I guess I'm just kind of getting down into the bottom end of that range there, where it's going to need a little bit of manual tuning, a little bit of extra attention to fly perfect. And when I say fly perfect, I want to point out that they do fly perfectly fine and reliably and safely on the ArduPlane defaults, and after an auto tune, and with the gains cut in half. Pretty much everything you do to it, they're going to fly fine. It's not an issue, other than if it bothers you if they shake around a little bit more than they should, or if they fly a little bit loose and the way they feel in the air. It's just down to a personal preference. And like I said, I often get kind of caught up in these little quest for perfection with my airplanes. I'll kind of go off on this tangent trying to get something perfectly dialed in, and when it's often good enough to begin with. But yeah, the T1 Ranger, I would have said it was good enough to begin with. I've been really happy with the way it's been flying since the start, but it flies even better now, and that's why I do it. So anyway, that's enough rambling on about the video, and hopefully it's been enjoyable, something to watch in the background, and probably going to do a few extra clips, or you'll see them by now, from the last flight that I just did today, as well as some from previous day where I flew kind of in some low light and stuff. So anyway, thank you for watching, and keep an eye out for what's to come. Hopefully we'll have a little bit longer videos coming up when I'm able to fly more. Just kind of dodging the weather and trying to make it work out. So anyway, thank you for watching this one, and I'll see you all in the next ones.